get so nervous.
Sometimes you sound really racist.
I have more facts than you.
Why do I look like alfalfa?
Yeah, it's just the facts. I'm so glad we're not recording today, because I just don't think I
I
could.
thought we were recording.
Oh, we are recording? Fuck.
Oh my god, don't.
Welcome to the Just Hear Me Out podcast with Lee and Eli, because, you know, names.
That's
Last time was a bad idea.
50% of that intro involves my name. Alright.
That's good.
No, I went to Sheetz last night.
Went to Sheetz.
Yeah. I got a milkshake. And it brought all the boys. I'm not even gonna say that. I got a milkshake, and I don't think I'm allowed to say that anymore. I got a milkshake. I went to Sheetz last night, and I got a milkshake. It was a peanut butter milkshake. I messed up my order, though, because normally I get, like, all the good parts on it. But when I pulled up, there was this little thing. I thought it was a robot at first, literally.
Okay.
I think they designed it to look like that. But it was a kerosene pump. And
What? So you're saying this episode on robots
yes.
is now about kerosene tanks disguised as robots. So it's like we're going to the future, but really we're just pretending to be in the future by disguising things as the future.
Exactly. No, okay. Shut up.
Continue.
So I pull up, and there's like this little robot thing. I'll put a picture in the video. Like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Insert now.
No promises. Jokes.
But it was cute. And on its stomach it said Caro, and then like it had like 3 stripes or something for lights, so it looks like eyes. So I thought it was a robot. I pull up, I'm like, what the hell is that? And then I realized, wait, this is a pump, like for kerosene, which also its placement is very unsafe because it's not near the gas tanks. It's literally like by the entrance of Sheetz. And I was like, you could hit that with a car easily. But anyway, I was looking and I was like, oh, it looks like a little robot guy. And then I was like, yo, what if lasers just started, like, shooting out of its eyes? And then I was like, this would be such a bad combination, like, kerosene and then evil robot. Because then he could just destroy everything.
Oh, really? Yeah, so you're just like kerosene, evil robot.
But yeah, that's what happened last night.
That's weird. So I feel like the whole robots with the laser eyes is such a weird depiction. Because we can't even figure out how to, like, get lasers to shoot out of things normally. Like, you know, we have like laser guns, but they're like trash. So
yeah,
right. So it's like
is there? I feel like there's gotta be.
I mean, they're getting better, but like to put all that in a robot.
Oh yeah, for like a robot.
You're like, oh, 2 eyes. Now they just shoot lasers because
pew, pew.
they see out of them. Like, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's just a weird fantasy that we have, and then we've been like taught through media is like. Or movies in the past.
It's like a go-to.
Yeah, it's like, oh, robots are taking over the world because they shoot lasers out of their eye.
Does the Beastie Boys intergalactic video have that? Literally? Okay, so you were talking and I wasn't listening. My brain just started like going to the Beastie Boys intergalactic. Da, 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 da. I don't even remember the lyrics, but in my head I did.
And then there's just pizza flying through the background.
I think there's a robot in that, but I think it might have. I could be completely wrong. But yeah, like it has lasers and stuff. Listen, I'm hungry.
I know.
And my brain is just going to interject every 5 seconds.
Oh my god.
So that was my recent experience with a robot, non-robot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have another one, but have you had one recently?
So, I mean, it wasn't a non-robot. It was a robot. The last thing I can think of is like my last job. There was it was a robot, right? I was fascinated with this thing, right? Because I'm like, yo, robots are heckin' cool, right? They just do things on their own because they're programmed to. So it basically, all it did though, it took boxes and put them on pallets in an organized way. So it was like the box was sent down the conveyor. It was like, here's a box of this certain dimension. Took box, put in certain configuration based on dimensions, built the pallet up, and then wrapped it. So it did that all automatically, and you're like, wow, that's a savage robot right there. It just really knows how to do all that stuff. And so I was like, that's kind of cool. And that was like the first experience I've really had with like it was a big robot too. It was probably like 2 times the size of any human, you know. So
that's a big boy.
It is a big boy, but it did its job. But I don't know. Besides that, that's like what I've visually seen with robots. You know, otherwise like any other knowledge of robots, comes from like what I've read, what I've watched, all that stuff. So
or like stuff in the news.
Yeah, exactly.
I really want to take you to Giant. We're gonna go on a field trip. We can go after this.
Yo, so yeah, what's with this robot, dude? This
yeah,
giant robot. But
I haven't seen it yet.
It's not actually giant. It's just a robot and giant.
It's a tall boy.
All right.
I mean,
how tall do we know? Like 7 foot? It looked like it was like 7 foot in the picture.
I mean, that was a child standing next to it, so for me, it's gonna be tall. But, but I think it is like 6 foot or something, or 7 foot.
So it's like a.
It's like as tall as the aisles.
It's a handsome boy.
Yeah, it's a pretty handsome boy. The one in Allentown has a beard, which I was like, that's weird.
That's cool.
It's the one I showed you. It was like
Yeah.
Badger
I was
set.
like, hey, dude.
But yeah, I haven't seen it in person yet. I just keep getting pictures sent. Like people are like, yo, have you seen the robot? And what it does is it just apparently it's there to alert for spills. Like it goes to the aisles and it alerts for spills.
Oh, and it's like pickles are on the floor.
Yeah, and it's like aisle 7 has a spill or something.
Does it like get the manager?
I guess so. Like it alerts or something. I really want to see it in person. But I went online and I looked at Giant's like actual response or like whatever their promo thing was, and it is an imaging like it's what's the word that they use for it? Imaging processing or whatever. So it's scanning literally.
So it basically is like this is a familiar like. This is what a spill looks like to me.
Yeah.
It's like I recognize this as a spill shape.
Yeah, photo recognition. That's what it was.
Sure.
But then it scans the shelves, it scans the floors, and it's definitely like taking photo recognition of the customers and stuff, so it knows someone's there.
That's weird.
Which yeah, a lot of people are uncomfortable and they've been like complaining.
What is it? Okay, but what does it matter? Like you're already on camera all the time anyway.
I think just because it's so present.
You're like, oh my god, look, it's a bearded robot that sees me.
It's like there's cameras in the store, but I'm uncomfortable when it's following me around.
Well, it's not following you around. It's just like there's a spill. Or is it like...
Like, it can follow you for, like, a decent amount of time. It's not necessarily following you. I think it's just following its track. And if you happen to be walking in the same area...
You're a spill. Cleans you up.
Danger.
Yeah, dude. That's the robot apocalypse is gonna be giant.
But yeah,
not giant robots, but robots from Giant.
Robots
just
from Giant.
telling you you're a spill.
Oh my god, it keeps cleaning you up. It's like
we mopping the street down. Like
it just scans you and goes, "You're a dirty boy."
I'm just imagining just a bunch of these robots with like brooms or something just dusting whole streets like and there's just like 50 of them coming down the street just dusting off the street like.
See, but that's the thing. It doesn't actually clean. It just alerts.
It just tells people their problems and then does nothing about it.
So it's like a therapist. Yeah, and so a lot of people are just like, "What is this for?" I mean, I think it's cool. Like, I feel like it's gonna take up space. I think it's just cool because I'm like, "Oh, look, it's a robot."
Yeah.
But
does it like freak out if you touch it?
I have no idea. Apparently, a lot of little kids fight it.
It's like
the picture that I had was like that lady's kid fighting.
He was
the robot.
fighting it?
He was punching it. And I was like, you need to control your kid, man.
What do you mean? He's just really loving on that robot with his fists.
That's not love.
You know, sometimes you just show your love through gentle punches. How do you know he's actually fighting? Look, oh my god.
I told you.
This kid's like taking full-on swings at this thing, dude.
Yo, he's like the next welterweight champion.
Dude, look at his boots. Dude, those are some serious snow boots, dude. It looks like he's about to whip on.
Look, the guy in the corner is terrified. He's like, this is abuse. He's witnessing robotic abuse right there.
Yo, for real. Dude,
he's just holding his bananas.
He's literally about to whip on this robot, though.
No, this guy in the corner is literally like, yo, this is bananas.
Is that robot gonna steal my bananas?
Wait, so now that we have photo evidence of a child abusing a robot, I think we should start discussing, like, robot laws.
You wanna go there?
Robot abuse.
You wanna go to like, what rights do robots have?
Yeah. Wait, I'm gonna be very obnoxious right now and open my chocolate.
All right. I'm just gonna cut this out.
Oh my god. No, you can't cut this out. They need to know how much pain I'm in right now. Oh, thank God.
That pizza got away. You really could have had that pizza.
I'm not gonna have pizza. So I wish I was like a fully functioning robot because then I wouldn't have to eat.
if you could implant your whole memory into a robot, like your brain, everything, I don't even know how to like scientifically speak of this, but like, if you could take, whatever your neurons are holding,
your synapses,
yeah, all that good stuff,
neural processing,
put it into a robot and be like, I'm a robot now, would you do it?
Honestly, I think so.
Right?
Like, that sounds so... That's okay. That's basically Ghost in the Shell.
What? Just explain. Just explain. Don't look at me like that.
I don't want to explain to you. It's it's an anime, Ghost in the Shell. It's a pretty old one. They just made that new movie, live action one with Scarlett Johansson.
Of course.
People were very triggered by it. I thought it was good.
What was it like? Was that the Alita Battle Angel thing?
No,
I was like, what the?
That's Alita Battle Angel. This is Ghost in the Shell. Oh my god, the props for it were amazing. Like the geishas, like their face and everything. I was just like entranced throughout the whole movie. I was like, I don't really care if the story they didn't capture it that great. Like the special effects in that movie were just, it felt like old school sci-fi, and I was just like in love.
All right. Anyway,
that's kind of what happens. They put their minds into a host, which is just a robot.
Yeah.
I feel like I would.
Why?
Because my body is like, I don't mean that in like a image way. Just more like
it dies.
I have like health problems, so that would be great if I didn't have those.
Okay, well, what if
and I could be taller?
What if it wasn't as advanced as you thought? Like, what if you couldn't be inputted into a human body, but just like a monitor that rolls around?
Then no.
What if you inputted with hopes that you would with hopes that you would eventually be able to get that robot body by living through like decades and maybe even centuries?
No, I would want to do it if it was like the technology was there.
Oh, but if not, you're like, just let me die.
Yeah, if it was like emerging, because then at that point, if you put yourself in, I guess, a robotic form like that, you're not going to be as advanced as you are as a person. So it's like I couldn't help the process along.
Like I can't go for a bike ride.
Okay, yeah, but I meant more like advancing the robotics that I'm in.
Oh,
if I have the ability to do that, then
you're
like
still giving, like you still have grandchildren though. Like they're still
wait, how do I have grandchildren all of a sudden?
Just relax. What I'm saying is, not you yourself, but like we still have humans in the world. Now there's just robots in the world with human brains. So there's still generations that will be coming up, still be able to do the human things and advancing science. It's not like, hey, everybody's put into a robot. Now we all can't do anything because we're just like robots and monitors that are like, we're here now.
Yeah, but I don't want to be a guinea pig.
Aren't we all guinea pigs, Lee?
Excuse me? In what sense?
I don't know.
No, that's like literally being a guinea pig test subject. Like, oh, this is like new emerging technology. Let's just like...
But like people do that with like pills and stuff all the time, and
It's very different than moving your entire consciousness into bolts and circuits.
What if you had like a self-destruct option? Like, what if you could still be like...
So suicide?
But it's not. It's like I'm unhappy with my product.
That's literally, I'm unhappy with my life.
Well, no, but your life's already over. Now you're in a robot. Which is
not
maybe...
Not really,
because
you're still alive.
Right, but you're like, well, I overlived it. It's like you already lived past the expected, like, what you were expected to. So it's like, this is like extra, it's like extra time. I don't know.
Extra credit?
No, not extra credit. It's like when you're doing something. I think I'm thinking of video games here, but it's like you do something so fast that you have a little extra time.
Oh,
so you have more time. Like, so you're given this much time to do a task, like 4 minutes to do a task, and then you complete it in 3. So now you have an extra like minute for like the next task you have to do. Is what I'm saying. But
okay, so if we're putting that in the frame of
I'm thinking
life.
Thinking of monster trucks. So, okay, no, just hold on right now. So, have you ever watched Monster Jam?
Yeah.
It's just monster trucks, right? So when they do really good at freestyling, they're like, you did really good. Now you have extra time to just show off until that thing breaks. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm saying. So it's like you've already spent all the time allotted. Now it's just extra time. You can do whatever the hell you want with that time.
So, what if we're gonna take the monster truck example? They don't just not take that time; they use it until they're done.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. And when you're done is what you choose, is it not?
Yeah, but that's like life, I guess. So then, can you live forever in this robot thing?
If you want to, right? I guess like until you like until it breaks down and then you get repaired and technically it's like essentially it could be eternal. Not
So then,
eternal,
like,
but everlasting, I guess.
I don't know. Then that makes you have to like question people who get like assisted euthanasias. Like, isn't that? I feel like it's the same thing. Cause yeah, you're like, oh, it's just more time, but it's life. Like you're alive, even though you're in robot form. Like you're still alive if everything transferred correctly. So you're killing yourself basically. And it's like, since we're mortal, that's not. I don't know, if we were like eternal beings, then I guess that would be something that
Okay.
would be like in conversation more frequently.
Okay.
Like, oh, choosing to die. Like, when's the best time for you?
Yeah, that'll be like the commercials.
Oh wait, doesn't Black Mirror have
I don't know. I didn't watch it. It's sad.
boy?
I know. I'm getting to it.
You talk now. I'm gonna look up this.
All right.
I'm
Whatever.
gonna find it and then
You're
I'll bring
so
it up.
sassy. Oh, it's your turn to talk. I have to look things up.
Oh.
Now I feel like now with robots, the advancements, like I feel like you get that choice. Like as human, we're like, oh well, now we only live for a certain amount of time, but now as like the potential to move on and be like everlasting, I guess, to exist longer. Now it's like now you get that option. It's like now we've advanced this far. Now we're technically, what you said, like immortal, right? We become like immortal in a way. So then it comes up in conversation more. It's like now we can start saying, hey, what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to live it out forever, or do you just like, do you care? It's like when people go, oh, if you could live forever, would you? That's like, this is the question.
Yeah.
It's like because.
So then, if you do, can you stop it at any point?
Well, that's what I'm saying. With robots, it's like you can now live forever. Do you? Right. So it's like as of now, we don't have that technology where we could just be like, we're robots. But
Isn't Walt Disney waiting for that technology?
he's been waiting.
Is that true? Is he literally frozen?
Probably.
I think he is. Anyway.
I mean, you got your phone up, right? You're the one making me talk right now.
Oh my god. Is he really frozen? Hold on. Wait. Let me talk about the San Junipero thing.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so what I was saying with Black Mirror, they have an episode called San Junipero or San. Yep.
Spoilers, by the way.
Oh yeah, big spoilers.
Don't worry about it.
San Junipero.
You want me to take an attempt?
Can you speak?
Yes, it's like San Junipero.
Yeah, something like that. That's what I said.
It was close.
Very close.
I just made my attempt. I didn't say yours was wrong.
Mine was definitely wrong. But basically, if you want to watch this episode, skip what I'm gonna say right now. But yeah, they are all in this place called San Junipero
Does not
I'm gonna
matter.
say SJ.
SJ, thank you.
They are in SJ, and you can like basically live forever there. It's a lot of like elderly people or people who are dying or who are in comas and stuff.
Oh.
And the two characters, I think the one lady's like close to dying, and the other girl has been in a coma since she was like in her 20s. And then it gets to the point where the two characters, one of them wants to stay, and it's just like, we're having a great time. We should just like live this out, like live here and just live forever.
Forever here.
And then the other girl's like, no, I want to die. Like I already had my life. I already had my full everything. Like I had all my experiences. I just wanted to have a little bit more fun. But I'm ready to die.
Yeah, this is getting tiring.
So it was just interesting.
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like when, okay, this is going to get like deep, but like when do you decide like, what's your time? When have you had enough of life?
Yeah.
And I feel like usually at the end at the end of our lives, we're like forced to come to that acceptance. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, we live to be 100 around like, let's say 100 at like max, right? Because I think like the limits like, or like the average death age is like 80 something, 85 or something.
It's definitely something there.
Maybe 70 something, I don't remember. But like that's your life expectancy. So, like, around there, you have to come to terms with death, right? So you're like, well, now you like, tell yourself you want to die, but, like, as, like, a living being, your whole purpose was to live and stay living. So it's like, when you get closer to the end, like, you convince yourself that it's okay to die and that you're tired, quote, quote, who cares, right? But,
Who cares?
Jokes. But, like, I agree some people get tired, you know? But do they get tired because they have to, or do they get tired because they want to? And I feel like with the robot thing, we get that choice. We get to say when we're tired. And it's like I don't know, it's like we take control of life. We say we have a hold of life now.
Mm-hmm.
And like, death isn't we, like, there may be a point in our lives where we don't have to fear death, which is such a weird thing to think about.
I mean, are you afraid of death?
I think at one point I was, and now I don't really care.
Okay. I think what's interesting, which they kind of touch on in the show, I mean, they don't really touch on it, but that's, like, what I took away from it. The one girl, she's completely fulfilled. Like, she had a full life.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
So that's why I think it's, if someone's fulfilled with, like, you know what? I lived this out pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I didn't get to do this, that, blah,
But it's
blah.
all right. Yeah.
But it's all right. And then the other girl, like, obviously she was in a coma, so she couldn't do anything.
Ooh.
So that's, like, someone who's like, I
didn't live yet.
I didn't live yet. I want more time. So, yeah, I guess if you feel like you didn't live, you would want to live longer.
Yeah.
Just so you could fulfill yourself.
Well, yeah, that's what I was. So, when you asked me if I feared death, like, I was talking to my friend, like, I think it was just the other day, and he asked me, he was like, how interesting would you say your life was? And I was like maybe on, like, a scale of 1 to 10, maybe like a 5 or 6, right? But then I rebutted with, like, I was like, hey, but fulfillment, I feel like, is more like a 8 out of 10, you know? Like, I feel like I've lived a fulfilling life, you know? Like, I feel like I've done things that I'm morally okay with, and I feel like the people I've met, the experiences I've had, even at, like, a young age, I still feel really fulfilled, and I feel like I've discovered a lot about life, and you know, that's why I don't fear death, because I feel happy with what I've done so far, you know? It's kind of weird how that works, I guess. So.
Why do you say it's weird?
That's weird because it's like, there's some people who live to be, like, 80, and they're like, God, still don't feel fulfilled yet.
And they don't do anything.
Some people, you know, who are like, yeah, my age, and they're like, I feel happy with life, and I feel I could die now, you know? Like, you know how, like, in, like, movies or shows where it's like they meet, like, a pretty girl, and then, like, I can die happy now that I've met you, or something like that.
Or
and
something,
it's like life is like, I don't know, like, there's moments in life that are like those quote unquote, you know, women that these people meet. They're like, I can die happy now knowing that I've done this, and, like, the more you do, the more fulfilled you feel, in a way. Like, the more of those, like, priceless moments you have, the more you're like, all right. Why are you laughing?
I hate that you just use women as a quantifying factor.
No,
I know, but you're just like, you know, they're like that quote-unquote women. Don't, it's like a simile. Very bothersome one. No, but, like, things that happen and you're just like, I'm good with this. Or, like, this feels nice.
Yeah.
And, like, if I die tomorrow, you know what? Things were pretty good.
I apologize.
You're fine. I was just like...
It was the only example I had to
Oh
hold
my
on to.
God.
If you had a better example, I would have gladly swapped it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, this is, like, a little bit of tangent from what we were, like, thinking of talking about.
It's pretty good, though.
No, it's decent. I think one of the things that have been on my mind, and we have argued before, is robot sentience. Right? Since we are getting robots these days that have the ability to think on their own and do human processes is not it. Whatever. You know, they're able to think and basically have a conscience, right? They're starting to get conscientious of themselves and, you know, aware of their existence. And as we're approaching that age, it's getting a little like I don't think people are talking about it enough.
No.
But it's like what do you do when humans start when humans and robots seem too close, when the difference is harder to see, when robots start thinking like humans and having human emotions, like happiness, fear, stuff like that, like robots were made for our doing, but like we use robots to try and most of the time they're used in our everyday life to better our lives, right? But what about one day when they're like, what about us? And I think that's where people think like they're gonna revolt.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what if they don't? What if they gain a human sense of revolt? Like they're like, I want rights. I want
Like
this
just
and
like
that.
equal level.
Yeah, they're like, I want to be equal. Like what if they start feeling like I've been birthed into this world just like you have via creation.
Yeah.
Where's my rights? So like that's kind of like the biggest thing, and I think we had like a
Debacle.
debacle. That is the word I was looking for. About like
That's a big $25 word.
Like what? Yeah. Well, we were arguing over like what sentience was. I think. At that point. And
because there's definitely robots. I forget this one that it was. Like apparently, 2015 or whatever, a robot passed the self-awareness test.
For the first time.
Yeah, Polytech Institute in the U.S. I don't know. You can look that up if you want.
That's so weird.
But they did the wise men puzzle, and he was able to like address himself or whatever.
I've never took this wise.
Do you want me to
puzzle.
explain? Okay, let me.
Please explain. Okay, because my thing is like, what is self-awareness, right? Because like, even as humans, at some point we're not like aware of our own selves, and there's a point where we're like, hey, I exist. And sometimes we can have those epiphanies daily. We're like, oh my gosh, I exist. And then we come back to it and we're like, oh wait, I actually exist.
Yeah.
So I guess for a robot to even like do that once is a big step too. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like for robots to have that type of ability and that start to come up, it's like, well, what does it do now that it knows it exists? Like, what if at some point it's like, please don't shut me down? Like, what do you do?
That's really fucked up. Wait, let me.
Well, okay, that's the thing though.
Let me read this. So it goes, in the classical test, a hypothetical king calls forward the three wisest men in the country, puts either a white or a blue hat on their heads. They can all see each other's hats, but not their own. They are not allowed to talk to each other. The king promises that at least one of them is wearing a blue hat, and that the contest is fair, meaning that none of them have access to any information that the others don't. Whoever is smart enough to work out which color hat they're wearing using the limited information will be the king's new advisor. In this updated AI version, the robots are each given a pill, which is actually a tap on the head because robots can't swallow. So funny. Two of the pills render the robot silent, and one is a placebo. The tester, Selmer Bringjor, chair of, wow, a lot of words I can't say, Cognitive Science Department. I'll link it below.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So they give them these taps on the head, which are the pills, and then they ask which pill they received. So obviously if they got the tap that silences them, they're not going to be able to talk. And then whoever got the placebo will be able to talk. There's silence for a while, then one of the bots gets up and declares, I don't know the answer, or I don't know. But at the sound of its own voice, it quickly changes his mind and puts his hand up. Sorry, I now know, it exclaims politely. I was able to prove that I was not given the dumbing pill. So they claim that as being like a form of like self-awareness. Because at first it's just reacting off a program.
And then it's like, oh wait.
Yeah.
This is the reality.
Yeah, then it's like, oh wait, I'm the one talking, therefore I must be the one who didn't get this pill.
I think, therefore I am.
Yeah.
Right?
Basically. So that happened in 2015. I'm sure there's newer stuff that's happened, but people were debating over that, if that was like actually sentience or not.
I think that's pretty good. That's a good step for sentience.
Yeah, it's decent.
I don't know if babies could do that. Maybe I couldn't do that. I don't know.
As a baby child.
Maybe as a
Little
2-year-old.
baby boy.
Like, look at me in my diaper. I'm sentient.
Yeah, well, and then I think that's should be taken into account that sentience can develop.
Yeah, which is weird. How we define sentience as something. We're trying to like define it as something specific.
But it clearly develops if you look at children.
And it still develops.
Yeah.
Like my sentience now is going to be way different in 20 years, and it's way different than what it was 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's kind of weird that we're trying to like make rules to our existence.
Yeah, to be like, this is what it means to be
Yeah.
self-aware, sentient, or stuff.
We're like, look at this box. This is what we are now.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, like, we're more than that. We gotta think outside the box.
Ooh, coloring outside the lines. Yo, give me all the crayons.
Mm-hmm.
No, but like if you think about like feral children that they find, or I know there was one guy. Don't quote me on this. This was a long time ago. He couldn't see, hear, or talk. Like he was mute. Like he just didn't have any of these functions. And his parents would like take him around like for speeches and stuff.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Is he even aware of what's happening?"
Oh yeah.
Because like he has no form of sense and he has like no way to communicate.
Right.
But then obviously like we go, he's a human being, so he has rights to be alive and blah 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 yada yada.
Okay.
But that wouldn't necessarily fall into that box that they say, "Oh, this is why we're sentient. I think therefore
Right.
I am." Blah
Yeah,
blah
yeah.
blah.
Well, I think that's weird to say that some robots aren't sentient, and then look at other humans that have like less capabilities than that robot and be like, well, do they? But when like humanely, we have to be like, yeah, they do. And it's like, well, what about the robot then?
Yeah.
So, I think another one of the big questions was like, because it was created by like human hands with parts like iron and like all that other crap, like does it still have the same type of soul, right?
Okay.
So like
yeah.
we talk about humans and their soul, right? If we create a robot with sentience and the ability to think, does it have a soul? And if so, like how does it acquire it in a way is like the biggest thing. It's like once we make robots with the ability to think for themselves, what separates them from us?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it comes back to the soul thing.
And I think it comes back. I mean, not it comes back to, but it would come to determining what is just processing power or whatever. Like if you code it to say certain things, and it's just kind of going through that mantra that it has. It's not really thinking. It's just acting. But people could say the same for like human beings.
Yeah, who are
Like,
raised a certain way.
you just are raised and you're taught things, and then over a period of time you know so much, or you have so much in your memory bank
That you can think for yourself.
that you can pull all of these things, and you're like, oh, I'm thinking. But in reality, it's just like recognizing something, having a reaction, cause and reaction, cause and reaction.
Yeah.
So then like that isn't that what the robot's doing? Cause and
Right.
reaction, cause and reaction.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just
That's
learning.
right. Which is, that's what I find weird about it.
Yeah.
But, so then, if you were to say that the robot does the same thing as a human, do you say that humans don't have a soul, or do you say that robots have souls?
I know quite a few humans who don't have a soul, but that's another conversation.
Oh, you're awful.
What was I gonna say? So you're asking if humans have a soul. Well, I think there's more that plays into it, I guess. Like,
Explain.
can they... Maybe it's the way they express themselves. Is there, like, a creative mindset behind it? Is there emotion behind it? Is there, more... I don't know. What makes a human?
That's the $1 million question.
Like, a lot of it, it's like, how much can you program it into it? I guess it would be, like, original thought, maybe.
All right. Okay. So the ability to like come up with things.
Yeah, original thought, whether that be, like, poetry.
You mean like
or-
artistic ability?
Yeah, artistic thought.
So you think like the soul is purely artistic?
I mean, it sounds real cute, but No, I just think artistic expression is very nuanced and kind of hard to pin down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely something that like
Can't
You don't-
be explained by science.
besides elephants who paint, like I don't see any other animal or being like creating art or creating music or creating poetry.
Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know, but it's so cool.
Well, but like,
It's a form of expression.
So, are you saying that like a robot, as of now, without sentience, would not be able to make art?
No, it definitely could. You could say like it could make it very precise. 'Cause
Well, but
I'm
no,
pretty
but,
sure they
but
have
it's
robots
not.
like that.
But I mean, its own art, like whatever. Like you can tell it to draw lines.
Yeah.
On a 3D coordinate grid.
Like do architecture and stuff.
Yeah, or even just like abstract art via, whatever you tell it to do. But
Yeah.
to make its own, like if it was to have sentience and it was to say, hey, I want to make this.
Yeah, if it did it on its own accord, I'd be like, whoa.
All right,
Yeah, I think I would consider that being conscious.
that's an interesting perspective.
That'd be so cool. I could like doodle with my robot.
Oh, be like, yo, let's have a draw sesh.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then just like I show you my art, you
Yeah.
show me yours.
And then you'd be like, you coloring inside the lines. What the heck you doing? And then it just, mocks you for, like, getting outside the lines just a little bit.
For not
Like,
being able to draw. No, I think that's where I would kind of say, oh, this is something more than just processing.
That's so weird. That's a weird limit. That's a weird line to be like, well, now art is soul.
I don't know. I'm not saying that's like the only one, but that's kind of initially like one of my first things. Like,
What about like passion and ambition?
do explain.
As humans, we set goals in life, right? We go for something we want to reach. Don't you agree?
Yes.
So, as a robot, when it goes, like, do you want to, or like when we tell it, to shut down, and
Yeah.
it goes, I don't want to shut down, right? That's an ambition. It's like I want to keep consciousness. I want to keep living, right? Like, how is that any different than the artistic perspective? Because I feel like, to me, it's one and the same. Like, I feel like the soul isn't just comprised of your creativity. It's also your passion and ambition. When the robot says, like, hey, I want to live, and we're like, no.
But that's a creative thought.
Yeah, it is. It is a creative thought.
Yeah.
And it's not expressed formally in art, but by
No,
just
just-
expression.
Yeah, just an original expression, an original thought.
I think emotion in general is something that includes the soul, because emotion is original. When you're sad about something,
When you're scared. Or...
yeah, you can't be told to be sad. You can't be told to be scared. It's just something that is in your nature, I guess.
But how would you be able to, not necessarily quantify, but test that it's having an emotion? Because it could just be relaying expressions that it understands. Like when you have
That's what we do as human. Well, from the time we're born, we observe and then copy.
Yeah.
We go, okay, someone's crying. That's what you do when you're sad. Actually, you know what? Babies come out of the womb crying, so I don't know. I don't know if that's how that works. But
It was a good try.
but there's like happiness and like fear and like you see.
But a lot of that's innate. Like it'll just happen. Like
That's true.
like some things that make some people laugh will make another person cry, or some people will be scared of certain things, other people won't.
That's true.
And I don't know. Maybe
That
it's just like
individuality.
that interpersonal connection where you can like feel someone else's emotion in a sense. Like you can tell when someone's sad or angry or something. Like it's a kind of more feeling wise.
Yeah.
Whereas like
Than just observing.
with a robot, I feel like people can get attached to the robot and think that there's emotion there. But I'm saying, how do you actually prove that that emotion is there? Because you could ask the same question for people who are like psychopaths and stuff who don't really feel emotion.
Yeah.
How, like, is there a way to test? Like, there's got to be brain scans or something.
Are you mimicking or are you creating an original fear?
Yeah, are you mimicking or actually experiencing that?
That's so weird to think about. All right. I think that's weird. So you're saying that
This
robots.
hurts my head.
You're saying this is a tough one. So you're saying robots would be considered different from humans because humans have this natural sense of emotion that from the time they're born they know how to laugh, cry, and be scared, right? They're like, oh my gosh, don't eat me, right? Well, because like that's, as a little baby, that's what I'd be like. I'd be like, oh my gosh, will I die from
Don't
you?
eat me.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Cause, okay, I said that because that's what I imagine. Like when my cats get scared, I just imagine them going, "Oh my god, don't eat me." Because like I feel like that's just a human instinct, or sorry, an animal instinct, where you're just like, "Oh my gosh, survival."
Yeah, I want to survive.
Yeah, because it's either eat or be eaten.
Yeah,
right?
get hurt
and
or
so
something.
I feel like that's their thing, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry for scaring you. I won't eat you."
Yeah.
And so that's why I said that. But yeah, I don't think robots have that same like I'm gonna get eaten, because there's some instinct, some type of something.
It'd be really difficult to chew all that. You know, it's a lot of metal and wires.
It's a good joke. It's a really good joke you got there.
I wonder if I can pun off of it, but I can't think of one.
That'd be hard to digest.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say?
No, just trying to think of something with like spaghetti, like wire spaghetti. There's definitely a pun in there, but I can't think of it.
Good old wire spaghetti.
No. Wait, so just because a robot doesn't fear being eaten, I'm confused.
So, fear, you agree, is like a basic instinct that we have.
Yeah.
Right? And like happiness and sadness. If it can't do that from like the get-go, or I guess like if it can't produce that original emotion, or that unique emotion, individual, how'd you express it earlier? You were saying it was like
Original thought.
Yeah, that original thought. Like then it can't be human, right? Or it can't be considered.
Well, it's not going to be human. It's just going to be sentient.
Right. So, but is human sentience defined by that instinctual emotion that we show? I don't think it is, personally, because animals show emotion easily.
Wait. You said something before, though, with the robot.
Sorry, what did I say?
You were like, if it has fear or something, does it...
I don't know, what I was trying to say with the robot not wanting to get eaten is like how an animal is like, I don't want to get eaten.
Yeah.
Right? That's like.
So you're saying if it's lacking that, then it can't have emotion?
Yeah, that will to survive. Yeah, if it can't say, if it doesn't say like I want to survive and like mean it, like that's like where do you
just an automated response.
Then if it's just like automated, if it's like, hey, I want to live, like.
Well, that's okay. That goes back to the thing where it's like, where is this coming from? What is this reaction coming from? A general emotion? Like genuine emotion? Mm-hmm. Or is it just a response to a reaction? Because if it's a response to a reaction, it's just a machine.
But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there is a response to a reaction in human life too.
Yeah.
Like from the time we come out, we're like taking in information and we're saying, oh my gosh, like this is, like there's something going on, react to it.
Yeah.
And there's basic ways to react by just wailing, noise, nonsense. And then, now we've learned to understand that as like, something that babies do.
But I guess if
Wail
it's
nonsense.
like a emotional reaction. Again, I don't know if there's like a way to scan for emotions. I'm pretty sure they can do brain scans or something.
Yeah, but on robots you can't.
You would have to find some other way to...
Like what, run down the code? Be like, oh, it created code that said, I fear death.
What? I guess what if it created it itself? Then that would be...
What if it coded itself? If it just wrote its own code?
Or if just something in it changed and then... I'm trying to explain this.
We ain't robots.
But like, okay, what would happen then if it changed? If it had an original thought, did its code actually change? Or did it develop something else where consciousness is a state outside of physical reality.
I don't think I know enough about coding.
Neither do I.
Right? Because, like, we were looking up videos and stuff, and it was talking about this one woman, or so. This robot was designed after a woman whose memories and experiences were implanted into the robot. To me, that's insane, because it's like, so it's kind of goes back to, like, the if you could live forever, would you? Right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, its memories and experiences were implanted in. And so it's like, hello, like, now I exist, and I have these past experiences. And this woman who was, whose memories, or this robot whose memories were implanted via this woman, right? I found it weird that when you implant it in, when the memories were implanted, it can't be code, right? Like, your memories are your own memories. They're not code. So...
Yeah, but when you put it in, it's like zeros and ones. That information is just translated into like zeros and ones.
How do you transmit brainwaves into zeros and ones? Because that's what I think is the key to figuring out if, like, original thought is possible, right? So as a someone who enjoys math and is doing
wow, look at you.
Oh, I'm so cool, right? And does a lot of physics daily, right?
Mm-hmm.
My life basically is like taking things that are equal to each other and figuring out how to convert them, right? And so to me, I go, how can I convert brainwaves into robot brainwaves, right? The zeros and ones.
Yeah.
So it's like, if somehow we're able to take these brainwaves from a human and turn them into robot brainwaves, ones and zeros, we can definitely turn these ones and zeros back into human brainwaves, right? So, but you looked up something with the self-modifying program, right?
Yeah, self-modifying code. So...
All right. Enlighten.
It's basically like, as it's whatever goal you have it like assigned to, it will rewrite itself. Mostly, I think from what I understand, it's used to kind of just shorten the process of whatever it's doing. It kind of reduces...
Oh, just simplify it.
So yeah,
it
just
puts a bunch of junk in there and it's like, optimize it.
Yeah, it's like the most optimized, the most efficient, with the least amount.
That's not sentience to me.
No, but I'm just saying, like...
Oh, maybe it is.
Maybe that could be a path to it. Because self-modifying.
Well, yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying. Oh, so it observes things and goes, this is inefficient.
Yeah.
Right? And but it's not told it's inefficient. It's like when you get, like, you know, an assignment from your boss, and then you're like, okay, he just wants me to do it this way. What's the best way to do it? Right?
I don't know if it's because inefficient. It's saying... Well, I have to figure out if self-modifying code... I'm assuming it's intentional. Like, when the code is being made, it's intentionally put that it can self-modify.
Right. I mean, yeah, if you're able to make something that self-modifies on accident, that'd be a little scary.
That's where I'm saying, like, if it accidentally did that, or if it did it by itself. Because from what I understand, self-modifying is intentionally put in there.
Oh.
They're saying it's an alternative to flag setting, a conditional program branching used primarily to reduce the number of times a condition needs to be tested. So it's like, they have this condition, they want to keep testing it.
So it's like given the sentience on purpose.
But that's not really sentience yet.
No, that's what I'm saying. Well,
it's just, its code will keep changing every time it sees a better way to do it, maybe? Or just...
Why is that not sentience? It still is given the ability to think for itself, right? We go to, you know, college, we go to high school, you know, wherever you go to learn, you learn from the people around you to think for yourself.
But I'm saying that's intentionally put in there.
Yeah, and it's intentionally put by the universities and by the people around you to think, to, you know, to be able to problem solve. Like, that's literally like, you know,
just
besides you know, partying the heck out of it, right? College is like problem solving. It's like figure out how to solve things, you know, on your own without, you know, needing help from others.
But it's problem solving for one condition, one thing. So it's just continually doing whatever it was assigned to, whatever it was designed to do. It's just going to keep doing that. It's not using that to then be like,
now,
I want
drink a glass of water.
Figure out
really well
whatever blah 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 is, or
I don't know. Maybe look at the stars.
Maybe it's calculating like if your freezer broke and This is probably not how they use it.
I don't know. Let's find out.
This is like the little bit of code that I remember. When you had to figure out if your steak was still good to eat, depending on how many hours have passed since a power outage. And we made this code, and then we put it in, and it would tell us. So I guess if there's a way to optimize that, that's not continuous, though.
Not optimized, but make it usable everywhere, so that it can problem solve and optimize in every aspect.
I feel like self-modifying would only be for like something that's continuous. So maybe like something with the stock market, so it's constantly reading.
It has to rerun and then
it's rerunning.
Oh, this is.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a better example. So if it's like something with the stock market, seeing which stocks you should go into, blah blah. I love how blah blah is becoming my insert because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
It's pretty great. I might just put a duck sound over it.
Blah blah. But yeah, so then it's modifying, but still it's just looking at stocks all day. It's not all of a sudden looking at, I wonder what the happiness level is of the brokers when it's raining.
Yeah. Okay. That's
like.
fair.
If it's self-modified to do something that it wasn't initially set to do, that would be kind of interesting or something to look at. But if it's self-modifying and it's still doing the same job, just like, I don't think that would be considered.
Well, then for the robots that they say are becoming more sentient, right? Like the ones that pass like the test, right? Do you think it ran through code and was like, okay, let me optimize and then also problem solve, like? Because as humans, right, we look at something and we go, that's interesting. What can I do with it? You know, how can I do this to the best of my ability? How can I optimize this? As a robot, yeah, maybe like specific robots designed for specific things can optimize things in that way, right? But when, these robots that now have sentience or are getting more sentient, the ones that, like the one that passed that WISE test, right? Like that one, it's like, hey, I figured out some puzzle, It was like, I think, therefore I am.
But after that test, right, everyone's like, oh, it recognized itself. Did this robot, when they put it away, like, sit there and ruminate and question its life?
When we sleep, do we ruminate and question our lives?
Yeah, they're called dreams.
I don't think that's how dreams work. Dreams, they're more like, this just happened. Like, they're just like things we make up on the fly. We don't go like, I'm gonna die one day in the middle of our dream.
You have really not intense dreams then.
Well, okay, I've been killed in my dream, but like, I've never like thought about like Plato's works in the middle of my dream.
Literally last night, the dream that I had, we were in like this room or something. You were in it.
Oh shoot!
It was hilarious.
It was hilarious because I was in it.
No. It was weird because, like, I forget how we got there, but at some point, people were talking about things that didn't really matter or something, and someone literally said, they were like, oh, like dreams, when you become an adult, you don't dream as much, and they're not as, like, impactful. And I was like, really? Like, in my dream, I go, really? I have some pretty intense dreams. And then you stood up, and you're like, yeah, I have some pretty intense dreams, too. And then you started explaining, like, some dream where you were on a train. But yeah,
I do have intense dreams, but
where I question reality within my own dreams.
That's pretty solid.
But that's what I'm saying. So like, did this robot? I don't negate dreams.
No,
we're gonna have to have a conversation
we
on
will.
that. Yeah.
We will. Okay, so you're saying the robot may have. How do we know it has the inability to dream? Right? Like when we shut it down, do we just like, scan its robot brainwaves and be like,
no, because it's shut off, so it's not releasing
exactly,
any form of energy.
There's no power, right?
Yeah.
But what if it's given a battery cell, right? So battery stores power.
So it's always on, basically.
So it's technically, right? I mean, a car is not always on, but it always has the potential to be on, right? Because of the battery.
So if it turns itself on, it's basically.
Oh yeah, I really like the wording of that one. Sulks in chair.
You know what I mean.
I had to do it.
Robotic masturbation.
Well, okay, if we want to go that route.
No! Sometimes I just want to duct tape my own mouth and be happy and never speak again.
Well, but like, that's going to be a problem when we get to like up in.
Well, we're gonna talk about that too.
Yeah.
That's a totally
Oh,
different episode.
Unless it could be this one.
No, we need to talk about one thing.
Why would we talk about just robot sex in one episode?
Because that would be hilarious. And there's a lot on that subject.
Is there?
There is a lot. You have not seen several of the videos I have.
What kind of crap are you watching?
I get bored and just start clicking things. Listen, I don't judge. I just observe and take in knowledge, and then I'm like, wish I didn't do that.
Yeah, alright. I think that's weird, because, like, especially talking about, like, robot rights, that's gonna be a big thing. Okay, so this...
Oh my god, getting married to a robot. Can you have kids?
I'm pretty sure it's probably already happened.
Oh, it has.
But,
in Japan.
you definitely could have kids. There's definitely ways to, like, come up with, like, you know,
Oh my God.
pseudo-human organs.
We would have, like, cyborgs and shit.
Okay, so this is where I was transitioning to. So there was this video game that came out. It was like Detroit, right? If you've heard of it.
No.
So it's basically in the future, robots become they're basically like you buy a robot and it's like your slave. You know, it's like you wake up and it's like, here's your breakfast, sir, you know? But in the video game, so it's basically just like a walkthrough game. It's like a story game, basically. So it's more artistic than it is really like challenging, I guess. More decision based, kind of like butterfly effect type stuff. Anyway, and so it basically, at some point in the game, the robot, like, you have a choice to break your code and become sentient and or not, right? Or just watch what happens, right? Because there's 3 robots in the story, or 3 cyborgs, I think they're called, or I forget what they're called, and I feel kind of bad, but because it's all about, like, robot rights. And so this one robot was, like, basically, like, physically, like, and sexually abused, and like the guy who was doing it had, like, a daughter, and, like, she, like, loved the daughter, and the dad was, like, hurting the daughter, and, like, she broke out of her code just so she could, like, save the kid. And then her and the kid, like, ran away and stuff. And so it's like, if we get to a point in life, in like the future, where robots are like, I want my own rights, I'm breaking out of this code, like, because the whole point of the game, like, in the end, like, it was, like, a bunch of robots who broke their code gathered together and, like, fought for robot rights. And so that's kind of where I'm getting this, like, stance of, like, someday will we have to, if we keep advancing technology, will we have to accept them into society? You know, and that's what kind of, I don't know if it doesn't scare me, it's, to me, personally, I think it's kind of cool to have, like, another aspect, you know? Like, we have different, like, arguments over, like, you know, if we should decide, like, what sex we are and, like, what our choices are. And it's like, who cares, you know? Like, someday we'll be living among robots with the same thoughts, and they can, like, be what they want to be. We can be what they want to be, you know?
We can be what they want to be?
Well, sorry, we can be what we want to be.
Oh, okay.
I got so many thoughts going on in my head right now.
Fine. You know what would make this even better? We're in the future. Robots are sentient, and then we got aliens.
Oh, dude!
That
So
would be
it's like
so dope.
so it's like robots versus aliens.
No,
movie.
not a war. No, I was talking more of, like, a diplomatic sense, where, like, then you have all these different types of, like, literal.
You mean like Star Wars?
Yeah. No, like that'd be so cool. It would literally be like science fiction.
Yo, but like
real.
aliens though. Like, what really are they? Like, are aliens?
No, we're not talking about aliens. But I'm saying,
the
like,
throwback, dude. Aliens are just people in space, dude.
No, but, like, literally, like, if we get to that point where we start exploring space more and we find sentient life out there, and then we also created sentient life, oh my god, it's like Mass
That would
Effect.
be super cool.
Then the Geth. Oh my god.
What did you just say?
The Geth. It's in Mass Effect.
I didn't play this.
Ugh, no one plays this game.
That's gonna be a censor.
No, but like a world like that would be, like, pretty intense, but probably also very violent. where it's
What?
like,
Do you think so?
don't know.
How do you know aliens are going to be violent? Are you stereotyping aliens? I think you're alienist. Anyway, so, but like, to come down and I think I do agree though that there would be a lot of diversity issues that would come across, especially come with the robots. Where like we made them like they're pieces of iron powered by batteries. Like what the heck?
Like, people can barely deal with people of other races,
Yeah,
other orientations.
That's what I'm saying.
And then now, hey, here's this thing of metal.
or whatever components that they
Yeah,
find.
or whatever components.
yeah.
Like, they could be organic materials too.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
People
Like
don't
soil.
really talk about that. No. I mean, like, I swear you do that on purpose. No, like, oh my god, like, if you take skin grafting and then you put actual legitimate skin on a robot.
Oh, like actual cells that
Yeah.
return. Oh my gosh.
Or something, or if it's more like
Your body's microbiome.
that's
Do
in
you
your
watch those,
gut.
like those Dove commercials? The Dove. Sorry, the
Dove?
Dove. The Dove.
Dove?
Yeah, the past tense of Dove.
Yo,
of Dove.
You dove right in
I
there.
I really just can't speak. But yeah. So it's like that kind of biz, you know.
I'm trying to find the exact quote from Captain Picard in Star Trek.
What? How do we get to? I mean, I haven't seen Star Trek, so I don't know enough.
Boy.
I'm sorry. Explain where you're going, lady.
They're talking about Data
I
and like
wait. Is Data the Data's the robot, right?
yeah, Data's the robot.
I knew that. I'm so good. All right.
Data needs advice about women.
Me too.
What the You know what? I'm gonna just find it and then I'll edit it in later. But basically, Captain Picard, something is happening where they're talking about Data because he's a robot and he's an AI, and everyone's kind of uncomfortable like addressing that.
AI. That's a good word.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence.
And then Captain Picard goes like, he's like, you know, this shouldn't be something uncomfortable. We're life made of organic material, and Data's just life made out of inorganic materials. It's basically the same thing.
And I think that's what we've been arguing basically the whole podcast
Yeah.
is that like the difference between human and robot may not be so different in the near future. It's like, yeah, it's just what we're made out of, you know? But then it comes back to the whole soul thing, right? Or like the whole like, if the robot reaches a point where it has original thought, can be artistic, can show emotion, you know, the passion, fear, ambition, that kind of thing, I think that's when we have to start accepting them as human. But at that point, it's also really tough because we're like, hey, look, these are robots. We made them. They're our slaves now. Right? Right? Because that's what they're made for, right? They're made for our personal, like, use.
Yeah.
And, I mean, maybe there'll be a point where we're like, hey, I'm going to hire this robot to be my friend, but, like, you can't just, like, force somebody to be your friend. You know? It's like, I want this robot girlfriend, you know?
Yeah.
For, like, you know, waifu purposes, not just, like, you know, like, to someone to actually, like, be like...
My number one waifu.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not just, like, a, you know, like a slave thing. It's like, I want to have a personal relationship with this thing, you know?
But then, well, if it's sentient, it's just like any normal relationship. The other person would want... The other person has to want it too.
But will it be controlled as a robot? Will it... Because it will follow its code, but also think for itself, right?
If it doesn't have sentience, then it's just a robot, and you can do whatever you want.
But what
if it does...
What if it has, like, controlled sentience?
What does that mean?
So, like, it has the potential to become... It has the potential to think and learn on its own, address situations, you know, as regular humans usually do. But it still has its own purpose. Like, it still is like, hey, you clean and cook, you know? It's like, you basically, and you clean, cook, you know, tidy up, whatever, organize, you know? And then, you know, when you're talked to, you know, you're told to do things, you'll do it, you know? But then, you know, that ability to be told to do something and know how to do it and problem solve is sentience. It's like I know how to do this because I'm verbally given an input, and then I'm like, now I can solve using original thoughts to problem solve, not just what's already been coded. Like, you know, you're not gonna be taught, you know, how to take care of Emily. You know. Oh shoot, that's you. That's your name. Anyway, I thought of a little kid as Emily.
What the fuck?
I'm sorry. You're Lee. You're not Emily. So frick off. So yeah, I'll use like a. I don't know. Now I can't think of any other little girl name.
It's fine.
So you're taking care of little Emily, right? But when you're like you're like robot, you're cyborg, whatever, to take care of her. Like you can't be programmed to take care of her in the way that she's gonna need. Like, you know, she has different interests compared to every other human. So the way that you take care of that problem has to be through original thoughts, original problem solving. You know, but so you have the potential to do so, but you're still following orders. So like you're told to follow orders, but you still can think through for yourself. You know, and so it's like with that level of sentience, like where does the morals start and end?
Well, problem solving, but if they're problem solving, okay, but that doesn't go into if they're thinking about what they want to do with their life. If it's a robot that's like expressing other wants, then it would be something where it's like, okay, you can't control that anymore, or maybe you shouldn't control that because it's expressing outside of what it was programmed to do.
What would be the purpose of that?
What do you mean?
Why would we make something like that?
Because why not? I think a lot of people, like, if I could make something like that, it's more so I want to make this. People have kids, and that's more like, I mean, obviously biological.
But like, what if you make robot communist?
What?
Okay, so check this out. Just hear me out. Hear me out, okay? So, you make a robot who has the ability to form its own opinions, yes?
Yeah.
What if its opinions favor communism? What do you do? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's what we're worried about.
Communism?
No. Like, this
you
robot...
do realize that, like, Europe still has a communism party.
No, but I mean, like, robot anarchy, where it's like, if we make robots in a democratic America, it's not gonna like the way things are ruled in democratic America. If it's a communist robot.
So you're... Okay, if it sees the... Oh, I guess if it's like, you make it has its own thought, and then it's like, oh, wouldn't it be great if everyone got everything equally?
Oh, yeah, I guess that is the true form of communism, yes.
I don't know, send it to Europe. Send it to North Korea. Send it to somewhere that has communism.
Just let it... So you're saying let it live out its life. Be like, be free. If you love it, let it go, right?
Honestly, I have no idea. I didn't think, like, of a communist robot.
Well, that's what we gotta think about.
But,
the
okay,
hard stuff.
that's different because, like, just because it has a thought, like, just because someone, let's say it's not a robot, says, hey, I agree with, like, the Communist Party beliefs or something, it doesn't mean they go out of their way to achieve that.
But what if it wants to? Because I agree. There's definitely like dormant radical thinkers, right? But what if it wants to be an activist? What if it says, I want to do something about it?
I guess it has its own right to do that as long as it's
As
long as it's not hurting people. Like,
but what if it wants to?
Well, then you put it in jail or deprogram it.
Okay.
Like, if we're saying they're at the point where it's exactly the same consciously as humans, then you're going to treat it exactly the same. Mm-hmm. You can have your own thoughts. You can do whatever you want. You can be a robo-activist. Beep bop.
I like that.
But then if you're doing something, like, okay, we're giving the robot freedom to do whatever it wants, live its life out, as long as it's not impeding on someone else's rights. Mm-hmm. The moment it does that, then, hey, guess what? That's illegal.
So just
doesn't matter if you're a robot.
Act upon it as you would a human.
Yeah,
I like that.
Same manner.
I agree with that. Okay.
Yeah, because
cool.
At that point, like, the hypothetical is...
Since you ain't using this chair, I am.
Yeah, I feel like standing. At that point, if the hypothetical is they're at that point, we've kind of accepted that they're at that point, then they would just have to follow the same laws that everyone else does.
Okay. My concern is, or my question is, why... So, remember when I asked why would we do this? And you said we would do it for the heck of it?
I think...
Right?
Some people will do it for the heck of it. Other people... Not other people. I think it could happen accidentally, maybe.
Okay.
But I know there's people who actively try to do this just because, like, I want to see if I can do it.
Well, okay, so we already have, like... We have a lot of arguments over, like, there's not enough land right? Eventually we're going to be like, oh, there's not enough room to live, blah, 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 even though, like, everybody can fit in the state of Texas, I think we've, like, determined or whatever, right? Live,
Yeah.
like, comfortably in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
But it's like, why would we build up the population for, like, I don't want to say no reason, but I think for, I guess, a less important reason. You know what would be cool?
What?
Since I'm going to rebuttal myself. We create this robot race, right? And then there's robot astronauts. And then we can explore space without having to worry about oxygen.
So, like, the Curiosity rover?
No, but it's a human. That's just like, it's like Iron Man style, except if Iron Man wasn't a human on the inside. It was just like, I'm here now. I can now pick up these rocks with my hands. I can, build things with these hands. And you also have a passion and ambition as a robot. You don't have to worry about oxygen or whatever. You just have to maybe worry about heating and stuff like that. You know?
But I think that would just go hand in hand, like literally on Star Trek. You need to watch this show.
Okay. Give me good reasons then.
The AI, like, he's just one of the fleet members. They have humans, they have other species or races or whatever, and then they have AIs. Right. And they just, like, work interchangeably.
Coexist.
Because, like, I honestly don't know Data's entire backstory, but from what I understand, he wants to be there and doing those things. Mm-hmm. So it's just, you just coexist with that.
And I think that's why I was saying I'm rebuttaling my own argument, is because I think going forward in the future, I think robots, if they gain sentience and become as human and exist with us, I think that we could potentially create a world where we can go beyond our limits. But I do feel, I mean, I guess as humans we look down on others too, right? Like, I feel like at some point robots with sentience would, like, there would be ones who'd be created with a lot of pride, be like, I'm a robot, I could kick your ass because I am a metal beast.
You
right?
literally just need to watch Star Trek because they, like, address this.
Do they really?
Yeah.
You know, maybe we should just make a podcast about Star Trek.
I would love that, and no one would listen except for other people who like Star Trek. Yeah, no, like.
So, but is there like do they do that in Star Trek where there's some robots that are like, F you humans?
Data craves to be human. He, like, wants to be human so bad. He wants to feel, like, emotion and some of these things.
So he doesn't feel emotion though.
He, like, doesn't understand it.
Okay. I've heard of this, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, certain feelings, like, a lot of stuff, like, he's like, oh, I want to feel human.
So he's like you.
Oh my god. Basically, that's why I love Data so much.
All right.
And then his brother was, like, Data's literally, like, a less developed version of his brother, whose name escapes me. They look exactly the same.
Yeah.
But his brother's filled with pride.
Is it Data?
No.
Jokes, because people pronounce Data and Data.
No, there's an episode that's so sad, and then the lady's calling him Data, and he's like, that's not... Oh, he was like, it's Data, and she's like, does it matter? And he goes, yes, because one is my name, and the other is not.
Oh, shoot.
And I was like, oh! Clap back!
Get crapped on.
Yeah, Data's brother is like...
Lore? Yeah, I agree with that.
Shut up. Okay, Data's brother's name is Lore.
Lore?
The humans that I was working with. But Data, like, doesn't agree. Mm-hmm. He's like, no, like, I see so much that they have that we don't, and, like...
Interesting.
So I think it could go back and forth. Some who gain sentience would be like, I'm better, because people are prideful, I'm better. And then others would be like, oh, this is beautiful. Like, this is another expression of life.
This conversation makes me happy, Lee.
Why?
I really like this. I like hearing that there's, like, hope for this robot race.
You and your hope.
I do like it. I like hearing that us and robots could exist in the same way that we exist with each other, you know, where it's like we've made something that can potentially be beneficial and create new aspects, you know? I do think that's really cool.
I think that's, like, the hope, the end goal. You're like, oh, like, just kind of, we'll have our problems, but it will work.
Yeah, it'll be Star Trek.
It'll be Star Trek. My goal in life is to experience Star Trek in the real world.
Yo, but you can't do that if you don't, live forever and put your brain into a robot monitor.
What do you mean? Things are being developed at like such an exponential rate that I think it'll happen.
You're just gonna Walt Disney it?
No, I'm just gonna.
You think we're gonna be able to? Do you actually think we're gonna be able to implant our brains, like, end of the century?
Probably. I don't know if it would be like as great as you're saying, but.
What do you mean? Like I'm gonna be missing like vital memories?
I don't know. I think maybe like you can like scan memories and stuff. I don't like a full human conscious functioning being. No.
If I can't put my whole consciousness in there, I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
Because then I'm not me, right? If every single part of me is not inputted into the robot, then I'm not myself.
Yeah.
So and I'm definitely not doing it. I'm not gonna regress.
Oh my god. No, there's one thing I wanted to add about what we're saying with robots. Oh,
I'm not a dog.
I'm just clapping in general. I gesticulate. Shut up. I can't help it.
Claps in general. Okay, continue.
I didn't sign up for this abuse. No. So the other thing was, I don't think we're gonna have as many robots as like you're expressing. Like you're like, oh, it's gonna be a whole race. One, they're expensive.
Mm-hmm.
One, they're difficult to make to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then to get to that conscious level, I feel like there'd be only like a handful that actually made it to that level.
Yeah, but I think in order to talk about it, it's like, okay, because so remember how we're talking about like sentience having the right to gain your own opinion, right? So we have a right to our own opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I was saying before about like what if it's like a communist robot or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like if we only have a few. And the one happens to be, like, some serial killer. It just wants to kill people. Then we gotta, like, bail on robots forever.
Shit.
That'd be so sad.
That would be.
That'd be really sad, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't want, what's it, like, one bad egg ruins the batch or something like that? What's it?
One bad circuit to mess up the motherboard.
I love it. I love it. So... I don't know what we've discovered today, but I feel like we really covered some morals within ourselves and within our standings of robots.
Yeah. No, we're definitely gonna... I think there's a few topics that we can expand through this more in depthly.
Yeah.
We'll, like, have one episode dedicated to it. And then we'll do more research, so
we don't sound like
how we do
stupid.
right now. Yeah. That's all right.
But I think I'm cool with that. I like the whole sounding... I like not knowing and then knowing later on.
Yeah.
Like, I think coming back with another more experienced episode, I think is a really good idea.
Yep.
Yeah, it's more sign language again. Just
I'm telling you to close it off.
Oh, I really couldn't tell that. That's sarcasm, by the way.
Oh my god.
Anyway, thanks for watching the Just Hear Me Out podcast.
Really? Watching?
You know what? They're watching with their ears, okay? Clearly.
Thanks for listening to the Just Hear Me Out podcast with Eli being an idiot. and
Lee being
leaving
a lecturer.
I was going to say a little less dumb.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll talk about robots, maybe monkeys, consciousness, life.
I'll talk about monkeys.
Yeah. We could talk about Coco. We're definitely talking about robots next week, so tune in.
She's excited.
No, like robots and Coco and stuff.
And not like hot chocolate.
We could talk about that too. No.